Hello fiends and collectors, this is me, Daniel East1000, back again with another Star Wars The Black Series figure review. Today we're going to be having a look at quite a big one, although it's not going to take us too long to cover, just because a lot of these figures have been released previously. This just features some additional little changes and additions that we will go through in the review. We are going to be taking a look at the Phantom Menace free pack, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. First, as per usual, we will be taking a look at the packaging, of which is this very enlarging version of the sort of Black Series styled packaging that we've come to know and love. On the very end there, of course, you've got a rundown of the characters that are featured in the pack. Some gorgeous artwork, I do have to say, of Qui-Gon, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan just there. Really, really lovely stuff. And I love the yellow sort of bleeding from the below banner here, highlighting the Star Wars Phantom Menace text. Of course, the figures would be situated behind that window, and you will be able to see what accessories they come with and the figures themselves. Star Wars The Black Series at the top there, name of the characters, a bit of warning label, Hasbro. Nothing much really going on the side there, just Star Wars The Black Series. Then of course on the back you've got that lovely mural artwork of the characters and a bit of a bio of Star Wars The Black Series there, and a ton of legal garb just at the bottom. And at the bottom there as well. Got a big open window so that light can be illuminated in, so you can see the figures in the box a little bit better. I think this is a really great set if you did want to keep it boxed and carded. The figures look great and beautifully presented in that. But me, naturally, even though I do have these figures, I had to have them open just for the bonuses that they do come with. So that's the packaging out of the way and done with. Let's now take a look at the figures themselves.
We'll handle this.
We'll take the long way.
And here we have the figures in hand. And first initial thoughts are, these look all fantastic. I'm really pleased that they released these as a free pack, so it allows people a chance to get these again if they did miss out on any version of them previously that has been released. I think what we'll do is we'll take a look at Darth Maul first, of whom is the newest figure to be released in terms of sculpt wise, as it is a completely new sculpt. Now I have technically reviewed this figure on the channel via the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Darth Maul and speeder bike. If you want to check that review out, link will be up there. There is just a couple of differences from that release to this one. Of course, he doesn't come with the speeder bike. It doesn't come with some of the additional accessories. And in terms of the differences on actual figure sculpt, the skirt is plastic. It isn't soft goods. And that's what the single carded release of Maul will feature as well, just without the soft goods cape. So there's quite a few different variations on Maul now. In terms of the base figure and head sculpt and whatnot, it's the same thing. And you're going to have a good time with this one, because this is probably the definitive Maul for episode 1. Hasbro have done just an absolutely slap up, bang up job on this guy. He looks absolutely remarkable. I love the soft goods and the sort of type of material that they've used on that. It just looks absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I won't run too much home into details with this guy because I've already technically reviewed him, but this version is just as good as the other one, really. Of course, the only notable difference, like I said, that might be concerned for some people who like posing and, you know, all the bells and whistles in terms of articulation, is just the fact that these are plastic, and that can hinder some of the articulation in the legs, but not too much. Still, just a cracking figure. I love the head sculpt on this guy and the amount of detail they put into it. Something I will say is it's a little bit disappointing that they haven't included Darth Maul's earring. That's something I always liked, but it's such a minor detail. It has a bit of a talking point there. As I did mention, he does come with his lightsaber, and you can take that out of his hand. It comes in 2 separate parts, so you can recreate the scene where it is cut in half, and of course you can remove the blades, so you can have a more neutrally posed Darth Maul, because it does feature a little tiny peg just there. There is a peg hole on the figure. There we go. You can see it just there. That just plugs in like so. So there you can have a more neutrally posed Darth Maul if you did so wish. So that's very, very cool, and really about it in terms of accessories. If you did really want to, you can remove the cloak, but I'm going to leave it on for all intents and purposes of this review. Now, in terms of Darth Maul's articulation, he does have a ball joint in the head, ball joint in the neck as well. You've got butterfly joints in the shoulders, ball jointed shoulders as well, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, ball jointed torso, ball jointed hips with the swivels at the tops of the thighs, ball jointed knees, ball jointed ankles with the rocker joint. There is also a slight bit of twist in the boot at the top there, but it is a little bit limited. Still, that's all the articulation you could really want from this guy. Yeah, in terms of a definitive Maul, I'd probably say the one on the speeder bike is that, and that's really just in terms of the accessories that it comes with. But if you are looking for a Maul, a good Maul, and aren't too bothered about those extras in terms of accessories, this one's going to suit you absolutely well. And likewise, that regular release, which is coming out this year as well. So that's all I can really say about Maul. If you did want a bit more of an in-depth look at him, then like I said, there is that review on my channel. Let's move on to the Jedi now. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Both these figures have been released before. These do feel like a cut above the previous releases though, and I can only chalk that up to paint application and the sort of advancements that Hasbro have made in the recent years. First and foremost, I didn't get the first release of Obi-Wan just because for some reason he was notoriously hard. They did do a San Diego Comic-Con version. Again, missed out on that. But I did pick up the recently released archive version because I was a little bit desperate, a little bit impatient, you could say, for this release. But I've got this on hand, and I do have to say, the paint application or something about the head sculpt on this new one, this free pack version, is really, really nice, and just a slight cut above this one, the archive collection one. In terms of the overall body sculpt, it is exactly the same figure, just some very, I feel like, minor paint variations. This one feels a little bit more cleaner, whereas this one's a bit more grubbier, as if he's been on Tatooine. That's just how I feel. That's my mileage with both these figures and how they compare and contrast. Lightsabers look pretty damn similar. Nothing to really run home about in terms of a comparison of either of these. Naturally, of course, the articulation is the same. But the only thing that makes both these figures different from their previous counterparts is the fact that they have the cloaks. So the only way to get the cloaked version of these figures is to buy the free pack. A little bit cheeky on Hasbro's part, I do have to admit, but I do really think the cloaks certainly add to these. And I'm sort of glad that I've got both versions, because now I have two different display options for both these figures in terms of how I want them to face off against Maul, or how I want them displayed on my Jedi shelf. Just looking at Qui-Gon, again, very similar to what I said about the Obi-Wan figure in terms of the overall paint and sculpt being a lot more crisper compared to the original release. And I have actually reviewed the original release, albeit the reissue that came in that Phantom Menace style packaging. I really feel like there's a bit more colour to this one's face, where this one's a bit more sort of grungier, a bit more darker. And in terms of the actual robes as well, this one definitely feels like it's a more sandier tone, whereas this one's a much more cleaner one. They are basically the exact same figure, just of course this one comes with the robes, and I think it's just mainly the paint application, but he still looks absolutely fantastic. I really, really love the look of this. I think the cloak certainly adds so much more. I feel like you'd want to have Qui-Gon wearing a cloak. It did feel a little bit disappointing with those original releases that they didn't come with them. So it's nice that Hasbro's rectified that and included them within this free pack. So yeah, if we just bring both of them together, it is worth noting that the cloaks are different colour as well. So they haven't just done reuse on that for the sake of reuse. They've actually really put some effort into the fact that they've given Qui-Gon a much darker brown Jedi robe, whereas Obi-Wan's is much lighter. In terms of their accessories, like I said, robes, they've got the lightsabers. You can remove the hilt from the blade, likewise of Obi-Wan's, and you can display them with the hilts attached onto their belts. In terms of their articulation, there is some slight differences between the two. So in terms of Obi-Wan's, he has a ball jointed head on a ball hinge. There's also a ball joint in the neck, so he can look even further down. He has butterfly joints in the shoulders, ball jointed shoulders as well, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrist, ball jointed torso, ball jointed hips, swivels at the tops of the thighs, double hinged knees, and ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints. In terms of Qui-Gon, just because Qui-Gon is a slightly older figure, at least the base body they've used, he does have a ball jointed head. It is a little bit limited though due to the hair, how quite hard plastic that is. But a ball jointed head on a ball hinge. There's no ball joint in the neck, unfortunately. That's a little bit disappointing. He has ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, ball jointed torso, ball jointed hips, double jointed knees, and ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints as well. So you can get both of these figures in really, really good poses. And that's exactly what you want from this free pack when you're having them face off against Darth Maul. You can really recreate a lot of the scenes with these figures from that fight scene in episode 1, and that's absolutely perfect. If we're not including exclusives, these are the definitive versions of these characters from episode 1. I'm really pleased that I've picked these up. It did feel a little bit daft initially, having technically all 3 of these figures already, but the little improvements and additions with the Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon really made it worth it. I'll take them all any day. I really don't mind having an additional Maul, but it is just slightly different enough from the other one. Here's the thing, they look great all together, and I've really had fun posing these guys up and recreating a lot of the scenes from episode 1. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of these figures. Have you picked these up? And in what capacity have you picked them up? Sound off in the comments down below. And while this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.